Hello everyone, and thank you for choosing to watch my video on how to do a pivot table in Microsoft Excel. I go by the name of Taxable, and yes, I prepare personal and corporate business tax returns. I also have a ton of experience using Microsoft Excel in my everyday job. So let's jump right in. I don't like long-winded videos, so I intend on making this video and others like this under 10 minutes. Um, So what we have in front of us today is financial transaction data. We will be completing an income statement or P&L for a small business. So here I downloaded an income statement template from Microsoft Excel. This is something free. Anyone can download it. If you type in income statement, you'll see this template show up. I just added my name in here. I'm in the tax year that we're working on today. So back to the activity. So this here is, again, sample data, just a list of transactions. You can see here in row one, I have my column headers. I just have, column names, date, transaction, vendor, and comment. Comment basically is the type of transaction it is. The type of transaction correlates to the expenses on the P&L. All right. So in any case, I went through here. I completed all the financial transaction data. If you notice, it's not in date order, which is fine. We're going to be doing a pivot table. And the one thing you'll notice is I have all of the expenses as negative numbers and I have revenues as positive numbers. All right. So the first thing I want to do here is, if you notice, everything is listed by date. I want to look at this when we do a pivot table. I want to subtotal this by month. So I will teach you guys a shortcut really quick to do that. What I'll do here is I'm going to insert a new column in between column A and B. So I'll click on column B and click on insert. I have my new column here. I'm going to copy column A into column B for just a second. All right, next I'm going to rename my header, my column header, to month. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a find and replace. The shortcut is I just hit Control F to bring up the find and replace. And what I want to find is, if you notice here, I'm at forward slash asterisk forward slash. What I'm doing is I'm looking for anything essentially in between these two forward slashes, a number. And I want to replace it with one. So I have forward slash one forward slash. Hit replace all and complete. So as you can see now, all of our dates now, they all end with a one. You guys will see in a second, that's going to be much easier to pivot by month in just a second. So now that we have all of our information completed, let's go ahead and let's do a pivot table. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to click to highlight all the data. I'm going to click in this area right in the corner of cell A1, and I'm going to click on insert. I'll click on the pivot table, drop down, and I want to do from table, not external source. We're using data from this file. It's going to give me an option. Do I want to put the pivot table on a new worksheet or the existing worksheet? I'll show you guys how to do both. So for right now, we'll just do new worksheet. So I'll click OK. Now this is bringing up my pivot table builder. So over here, you'll see this is the field list. It's going to list all of my column headers here. So what I want to do is I want to look at my data by month, right? So I want to subtotal everything by the comment section, which is the categories from my P&L, right? So that's what we have here. We have accounting, consultant, contractor fees, and so on. Next, I want to bring my month and add that as my column. All right. And the next thing I want to do is I want to take my transaction and I want to put that under values because we want to sum the values. So now here we go. So now once that's completed, you'll see I now have a table that's giving me my, essentially summing up my income and losses for the entire month, for each month, for the full year. All right. So let me just make this dollars so we can see. So as you can see, for the total year, I'm recording a loss of $1,100. And You can just see the breakdown for each month. All right. So now that we have that information, what I'll do next is typically, you can't do a lot of formatting with the pivot table. Pivot tables are pretty cool because once you have the data set up in this table, if you want to know what makes up any one of these amounts, you can just double click on each month. For example, if I want to know, what makes up this $844 right here, I could just double click on it, and it's going to bring up all my transactions from my activity sheet that makes up the total. And that's my total right here, 844.12. All right. So I'll delete that. All right. So the next thing I want to do, I was just showing you guys essentially how the pivot table works. Next, I'm going to copy my pivot table, copy it, and I'm going to click down here. I'm going to right click and hit paste special values because I want to get rid of the formulas. I want to hard code it. And so down here, I have a hard coded pivot table. All right. So now that all my data is hard coded, now I can take my grand totals and I can transfer it over to my income statement. So for example, my revenue, I can do just an equal sign, click over to my P&L. My revenue, I have it recorded under consulting. As you can see, that's the positive number. So I'll click on enter. And next down here, I have all my different expenses. So one thing you can do to really, if you know how to do VLOOKUPs, I'll show you guys that in another video. So make sure you tune in. What I'll do here is, I'm not going to fill in each one of these. I'll fill in a couple, but in the next video, I'll show you guys how to do a VLOOKUP to bring over your totals from this tab, from down here over to this sheet with just a formula. It's a VLOOKUP. All right. So let's add some more expenses to our P&L, and then we'll go ahead and I will show you guys how to add a pivot table to the existing sheet instead of the new sheet. All right. So I will do contract labor. I'll do another one. I'll do professional fee. And as you can see, the way this is working, it's adding up my expenses and it's subtracting it from my income, generating my net profit. All right. So next, let's go over how to do a pivot table on the existing sheet. So we have our data. I'm going to highlight it again. I'm going to select this space right next to cell A1. I'm going to click on insert. Click on this drop down from table range. So this time I'm going to click on this radio button that says existing worksheet. And now it's asking me for a location. So I'm going to make a smaller pivot table this time. It's only going to be three columns, excuse me. So I'll just pick the first three columns here, and you can kind of figure out how big the pivot table is going to be based on how much data you're going to put on it. So I'm going to make a smaller one. So I'll pick this range and I'll hit OK. And it gave me my field list. And so this time I'm not going to do month. I'm just going to do what is the total for the year, right? The grand totals. So I'm just going to put my transaction under values. I'm going to put my comment under rows. And here we go. This is my net loss for the year was $1,100, and these are my grand totals for each of these categories. So again, really simple on how to do a pivot table. So hopefully this video will help some of you out there that may have been struggling doing pivot tables, or maybe new users to Microsoft Excel. Please, I encourage you to tune in to more of my videos, subscribe, like, follow, and yeah, let's go through this Excel journey together. Okay. Thank you.